And we're backstage again at the Iowa City Jazz Festival. We've got, they're doing some, a different thing this year where they're having some late night sets at the Engler Theater, some free concerts after the main stage activity is all done. And this evening they're bringing in Whirlpool, a trio out of Chicago with Caroline Davis and Jeff Swanson and Charles Rumback. All from, are you all from Chicago originally then, or?
No.
Where are you all from?
I'm originally from Indiana.
Oh, okay.
South Bend.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I live in Chicago. I'm from Kansas originally. Jeff and I live in Chicago. Caroline lives in New York.
Oh, okay.
Caroline's from...
I'm from, my parents are British and Swedish, and I was raised partially in Singapore, in Atlanta, Georgia, and Dallas, Texas.
Wow.
I moved to Chicago after that, which is where I stayed for a little while, but then 2 years ago I moved to New York.
So how did you all find your way together? How'd you all meet up and start working together?
Caroline put together a show right after Paul Motion died, and wanted to do like kind of a tribute show to him. And so she asked me and Jeff to play, and we had both played with Caroline separately, but Jeff and I had never met. And so we did this show with like no rehearsal. She wrote out some tunes, and we just kind of like played through it, and it went really well. And we just felt like maybe that we should do some original music with, and make it a real band. That's how it started.
Mm-hmm.
So you must be a big Paul Motion fan then.
Yeah, I think we all are,
Yeah?
actually. Yeah, definitely.
What was it about Paul that that moved you guys? He was here at the festival some years ago, and he was a very interesting chap. I know that.
Yeah, his concept of leaving space and everything is so deliberate, and I just care about everything he plays. Even just one stroke of the ride cymbal, you can just really tell that it's Paul Motion.
Mm-hmm.
I think the textures he creates too.
The way he tunes the drums.
Yeah.
Everything.
So how did you guys decide to go with a bassless trio, BASS-less trio? It's an interesting concept.
Yeah, that original gig that we did was doing kind of music that Paul Motion's trio did, and his was the same instrumentation. Joe Lovano playing tenor sax, but saxophone, guitar, drums, and so it's funny that that's how we started, and that's what the music was that started us. But our original music, I think, is very different and it comes from a lot of different places, and we all write for the band, and so we just never felt the need really to change the instrumentation. I guess we've talked about it, but it's definitely like we've got I think a good sound. It's like a unique sound because we all kind of share that role maybe that a bass player would share, that would normally be carried by the bass. We kind of share those duties.
So did you all come from a jazz background then, or?
More or less. I started with classical guitar, but switched to jazz in high school, and continued through college, and obviously now still.
And Caroline?
Yeah, pretty much.
And you also do some vocals for the band. Is that lyrics, or is that voice as instrument sort of a thing?
Oh, yeah. Last night, actually, I spontaneously started singing on one song that's instrumental, which is really, that was a unique thing.
Yeah.
Think about that. I was digging it in the moment, off the mic, sort of. But no, the other stuff has lyrics, yeah.
And you all do writing of your own. Do you work together when you write, or you bring stuff to the table and you all work on it together, or?
We bring the music that we've written as individuals to the table, and then we kind of arrange it together.
Yeah,
I would say orchestrate it together and arrange.
Definitely it gets, we'll bring in pretty much a complete piece, but the arrangement changes, and one of the things, you might hear something in your head, but then when you bring it to the band, it gets reworked a little bit. We've changed some of our pieces drastically from what they started as, but yeah.
And I understand Ron Miles is going to be performing with you. How did you meet up with Ron? Ron's another guy that's played the Jazz Festival many times, and he's a great guy and a great trumpeter. How did you manage to work up with him?
Charles played on an album with him with another guitar player who is really wonderful in Chicago-based named Jason Steele. And that's how you guys originally met, right?
Yeah, I met Ron even before that through Jason also, but at a jazz festival in Colorado, and then Jason was talking about making this record, that we made back in like 2006, I think.
Is that Dancing on the Inside, or is that?
No, that's this new album.
the new one,
That's
okay.
ours. Yeah, but Jason Steele, his record
Some
was
Wonderful
called
Moment.
Some Wonderful Moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that, yeah, and so Jason wrote all this music and flew Ron in to do the recording session, and it was really fun, really great. We did a couple shows with him after that, and then when I went out to Colorado with another band that I used to play with called Leaves, and Ron sat in with us, and and it was always like whenever we had a chance to play, we would, but it wasn't really very often. And then Whirlpool, we did an album and we did a tour, and we went out to Colorado and we played in Denver and invited Ron to play, and Ron was like, well, maybe I'll just sit in on one tune. And he played, and it sounded so good that he ended up staying the rest of the whole set and playing music he'd never even seen before, and it was great. And so then after that, we immediately started thinking, like, man, we should try to find a way to really do a project with him where we can get to capture that more regularly.
And is he on the new CD then?
Yeah, he's on all of it, all the tracks. We flew out to Denver and recorded the album in Denver
Okay.
at a studio that he recommended called Mighty Fine Productions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he bring any music to the project then, or did you collaborate on the project, or?
It was more, I think we had this project in mind, and we all kind of wrote music that was kind of gearing towards a quartet sound. And then kind of the same thing, though, when we started actually rehearsing the music and trying some things, it was like a little more flexible once we got into that situation. But yeah, it's all of the band's music that Ron's playing.
And it'll be all your music this evening then?
Yeah.
Later
we
on
haven't,
tonight, I guess
we
I
haven't
should
played
say.
any of Ron's music, but maybe that's something down the road.
Yeah.
We do play a couple covers and other pieces though.
Yeah.
So
What kind of stuff do you, what kind of?
one of the pieces was written by Stravinsky, actually.
Oh, really?
hmm
Interesting choice.
Yeah. And then there's another cover that we do. One of the vocal covers is by a band called Blind Faith.
Oh, of course. Find My Way Back Home, or
Yeah,
is that the song?
that's it.
Oh, I love that song. Are you going to do that tonight?
So we're gonna
Oh,
do that
fantastic.
tonight, yeah.
That's a great tune. That's a great tune.
Yeah.
So what else? Is you guys on tour then, or just one? Is this just a one-off thing? Or
We had a CD release party last night
Oh.
in Chicago.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So you just drove over this morning then?
We drove
Oh,
over
excellent.
this morning.
Where was that at?
It was at this really wonderful club there called Constellation.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been bringing in great artists ever since it opened how many years ago?
A little over
2
2
years
years ago.
ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you guys teachers too? Do you do
A little bit.
Do some teaching
A
as
little
well,
bit.
but
To
mostly.
make some ends meet, right?
Do you play a lot around Chicago then?
Yes, I do. Caroline, not as much anymore, but
Oh,
she's
yeah, I
still.
live
Oh,
in-
not as a band.
Right.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, because I'm living in New York. So
Okay.
I think
Right.
because we don't really get a chance to play unless I'm coming to Chicago.
Oh, okay.
And we're working on trying to bring the band out to New York. I'm just getting settled there because I've only lived there for about 2 years.
Oh,
so.
okay. I was going to say, are you playing with anybody out there, or
Yeah,
singing with
I
anybody
am.
out there? Are you?
Drummer Billy Kay. He's a force on the local jazz scene in New York.
Mhm.
He's 86 and played with Thelonious Monk and
I recognize the name.
Donaldson. Yeah. Stanley Turrentine. He's on that record Sugar.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's where I recognize it from.
Yeah,
Well, that's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Excellent.
it's
Excellent.
great. But these guys are playing all the time in Chicago.
Who do you play with in Chicago? Or
There's a couple groups. There's a group that I kind of co-lead with a saxophonist named Artie Black called Living Bridge.
okay.
And then Charles and I actually just recorded a project of another saxophonist, Dustin Lorenzi, and that group is called Natural Language.
Okay.
That should be coming out sometime probably early next year.
So where do you guys play in Chicago when you play around there? I know there's the Jazz Showcase, but you're not playing the show. Are you playing the Showcase or?
Yeah, we
Or the
played
Green
at
Mill
the
or-
Showcase. Yeah, the Mill. Jeff just did they have a jazz composers collective series at the Mill that Jeff was just one of the featured composers at. Yeah, Constellation's a new place that a lot
The
of people
Whistler.
play. The Whistler. Yeah, there's a lot of good venues in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So any other projects in the works, you guys, we can look for or listen for soon?
I just put out I had 2 CDs come out this week. One was the Whirlpool CD, this one, and then another band that I play in called Stir Up with Fred Lombard Holm and Nick McCree. We just put out a record.
And what kind of sound is that?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like, I guess it's in the jazz world. It's like Fred plays cello and tenor guitar, and then Nick plays bass and I play drums. So it's instrumental music. We improvise over forms, and Yeah.
Well, cool.
Yeah, I'm putting out a record in the later part of the fall on under my own name.
Okay.
So, and that's going to be a project that I was working on in Chicago that I'm finally releasing now. It's kind of like a homage to the community that was going strong in the 80s and 90s in Chicago. I wrote a bunch of original music based on
cool.
that. So.
And who's on that with you? Who are you playing with?
Those are also local Chicago musicians who used to play with Von Freeman, Mike
Okay.
Alamana, and Matt Ferguson, and then another local drummer named Jeremy Cunningham, who's originally from Cincinnati.
Okay, wow. Lots of stuff happened in your world. Excellent.
Yeah.
And you need to get together more often, I guess, but that's not with you out in New York. Why'd you have to go to New York?
We're working on it.
We're working on it. We got some things
Working
coming
on it.
up
We
in
do
the
have
fall.
some
We're working on some new things.
Playing at the Hyde Park Jazz Festival in Chicago in September, and we're playing at Cliff Bell's in Detroit, and then Merriman's Playhouse in South Bend. So we have some stuff worked out for the fall.
Little Midwest tour.
That's right.
All right. Well, that's cool. Well, thanks for taking some time. Caroline Davis, Jeff Swanson, Charles Rumback. They are Whirlpool.